2.
Meet Dave of Delusions of Grandeur, actor, producer, and director of films like Tales of the Forgotten. He has come to assemble a team of freaks, geeks, and even worse, film nerds, to discuss films ranging from mainstream to downright crazy. There is Tammy, car enthusiast, and Dave's fiance, Dustin, reptile expert and overall horror collector, Jake, environmentalist and fine art film critic, and finally Brandon, a therapist with a love of film that can only be seen as insanity. Together under Dave's leadership, they are inside movies galore. Enjoy the show. Enjoy the show.
To heal. Alrighty. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another exciting film journey here on Delusions of Grandeur. I am one of your hosts, but today we are going to be going on about a film that my fiance Tammy has chosen. So what film did you choose?
Terror of the Blood Beast.
Or actually, it's called The Blood Beast Terror.
Oh, okay. I mixed the words up.
Yes, you did. But that's okay. You know why? It's had 4 different titles.
Oh, really?
Yep. It is called The Blood Beast Terror now, but it has been called The Vampire Beast Craves Blood. It has also been known as Blood Beast from Hell and Death's Head Vampire. And it is a 1968 British horror film directed by Vernon Sewell. And it was distributed by Tegan British Film Production. And Tegan was established in 1966 as a distribution for what you would call low-budget cinema. Vernon Sewell, this is maybe the second film that Tegan helped produce and distribute, because there are some films that they just distributed, but it was filmed in 1968, which apparently they started filming for this film at the exact same time that in another studio, another film that was basically I would have to say a rival studio was started filming as well, which is The Devil Rides Out with Christopher Lee.
Oh, that's one.
Which we covered, you and I.
Yes.
But this film stars Christopher Lee, Robert Fleming, and Wanda Vantham, which Wanda Vantham, she's the mother of the guy who plays Doctor Strange in the Marvel Universe these days. That would be Benedict Cumbersnatch, his mother. So
Peter Cushing, though, is the star of this one. You got it wrong.
Peter Cushing is, yeah, I said Peter Cushing.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. I said Peter Cushing, Robert Fleming, and Wanda Vantham.
Okay.
But Peter
That's not-
Cushing has stated that this is his most hated film that he ever acted in. He only took the acting jobs so that he could pay for some of the medical procedures that were happening to his wife. Now,
Ouch.
this movie was on a double bill with with at the drive-ins at Pacemaker Pictures in the United States, alongside Slaughter of the Vampires from 1962 as a double bill. So, that being said, let's see what IMDb says about the film. Okay, so a scientist genetically engineers a creature that transforms between a death's head moth and a woman. The creature poses as the scientist's daughter to lure victims when in human form, then feeds on their blood as a moth. So, that being said, and I'm sure that there were other people who were in this movie, but there is an Inspector Quinnell, a Dr. Mallinger, Claire Mallinger, a Meg, a William, Sergeant Ellen, Brightwell, and of course there's Granger, played by Kevin Stoney. So let us go into first impressions of this movie. Tammy, did you want to lead us into that?
You want me to go first?
If you want, or you could go last. It doesn't matter which order that you do it, just so long as we get our first impressions in.
I don't know when I watched it the first time. I know this wasn't my first watch of it. It's just been a while. I found it pretty much enjoyable. I feel some things were kind of left out, that as to why the creature was made, what made him want to do this, type of thing. I wish there would have been a little bit more about that, but other than that, yeah, I think, a way too, I think I would have liked to have seen the creature a little bit more. I'm one of those that if it's a creature movie, I like to see the creature,
Yes.
But I guess it was typical for its time as far as all that goes. So, I mean, not a bad movie, I'm glad I have it in my collection and everything. So, Boris, why don't you go next?
Oh yeah, so this was my first time watching it, and I found the premise pretty interesting, but like you said, I also wish we got to see more of the creature than we did. I kind of feel there was too much talk, too little action. The premise on IMDb made me expect more blood, more killings, more of that type of thing. But yeah, actually, throughout a major part of the movie, if we hadn't read the synopsis, we wouldn't even know who the killer is. So the synopsis also kind of spoils it a bit. But yeah, I do think they could have made a pretty good movie with the concept they had, but there was too much of characters just discussing what's going on and too little showing us what's going on. So that's my major issue with the movie. Uh, Also, I need to say, for some reason, I wasn't able to find this movie with functional subtitles, so I had to watch it on YouTube without subtitles and rely on my listening skills. So there were parts I couldn't fully understand. So apologies in advance for that. But yeah, overall, yeah, I guess I could see why this movie probably was good for its time period, but still, like I said, I can't help wishing there was more action and more actual scenes with the creature.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, and as far as my views on this, I think saw this once before. Before, I think when Tammy picked it up, we watched it, and I think our viewing of it is just that when she first picked it up. But I don't think I looked too much into the background of it as much as I did this time around, because I wasn't discussing it then, but now I am. So, that being
Huh.
said, I think this is the earliest time that you actually get to see a death's head before another horror movie that is more known in the mainstream, which is Silence of the Lambs. Uh,
True.
they also use Death's Head for Buffalo Bill's character. You know, that just seems to be the creepy bug for serial killers, eh? Um,
Interesting.
but this is a different kind of serial killer. This is a genetically created monster, which we didn't even get a background on in this movie. We're just expected to assume that there's a killer, and then within the last 40 minutes, voila! Here's what the killer is, and oh, it's a female. So, but I kind of got the sense that it was a female killer to begin with because the only victims were males.
Right.
So that was kind of a clue that since only male victims were being attacked. So, uh, surprise! We figured that part out early on, but
True.
um, I did not expect to learn that not only Peter Cushing did not like this movie, but neither did the other main actor who played the professor. He didn't like working on the movie as well. So there had
Oh,
to have
wow.
been some tension. There had to have been some tension on the set, and a lot of people when they're viewing Peter Cushing and what he does, you know, they're used to him being a good actor, and if you've ever seen any of his Hammer films opposite Christopher Lee, um, plus evidently Basil Rathbone was supposed to have been in this movie, um, but he passed away shortly before this movie began filming.
Oh,
Um, I
that's
believe
bad.
the last movie that he was in was in another movie that Tammy likes really well, the Comedy of Terrors.
Yep.
Oh, we watched that one some time ago.
Did we, Tammy?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
The
So
title
yeah,
sounds familiar.
he died shortly. I'm guessing he died shortly after that movie because I think that was his last performance. But he was supposed to star in this movie as the professor guy. But I
Oh,
guess um, when I was reading about it, let's see if I can actually go back and see. Um, let's see. Okay, I'm not seeing it is critical. Yeah, it had critical reception. The movie did. But there was blood in the movie. I mean, it's not like wasn't, and there was more blood than is normally shown in a movie at this point in time. So it's not like it didn't have blood. I mean, the victim that was carried to where the professor was and supposedly still alive had blood on his body.
all right.
But I guess I enjoyed the movie to a certain extent once I figured out that the what the creature was and who it was.
You know,
Then
the title of
I
the movie.
began to like it, but we got no background as to how he created her to begin with. Like I wish we would have gotten like a somewhat of an experiment, like a Frankenstein experiment, where he created her. You know,
And
Well,
why?
well, because of the name of the movie, you thought there would have been a little bit more blood though than there was.
Yes, that too.
true. And as you know, it went under several different titles, so they were definitely trying to market it around with various titles. So, um, I do believe that when we come across movies that have like quite a few titles, then it probably had trouble getting out there. you know,
Makes sense.
but I enjoyed it for what it was. I do wish that we got more backstory. Story. I do think it does slow up a little bit, but then again, it's not that long to begin with, and I do feel like Peter Cushing's role was kind of like okay, he was going through the motions because he was there to pay the bills, not there to act. You know,
Yeah.
he wasn't exactly enthusiastic about the role, and you could
Yeah,
tell from the get go.
he seemed a little stoned, not like high stoned, just stoned.
Like
You know,
wooden,
yeah.
like he almost didn't know what to do next. And
Well,
then
not that way. He knew what to do next. He just was like going along with it. Just type of a thing.
yep.
You know, almost like oh, this is everyday life. Da 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 da. Okay, okay. Nothing. And it's like okay.
And evidently, the girl that was playing his daughter was underused as well, supposedly, because No, I have never seen this movie, but apparently she had quite a performance in a movie called Girly, um, which I wish I had seen before for this, so that I know where she came from. But for the most part, I think everyone one seemed to act like I feel like the one sergeant had some humor in him. Um,
The the guy at the morgue, the mortician, that was
oh
humorous.
yeah, and I found out afterwards that evidently this movie is more amusing when you start to realize some of the mistakes. And evidently, one of the corpses that was laying on the table with their feet exposed kept twitching his toes
Ah,
on screen. It seems like a lot of the reviews that I've seen online of this film comically mention that. But other than that, let's get into the plot. Tammy, take it from here.
Well, there's a bunch of killings in the area. This is in England, right?
Apparently, yes.
Right. There's been a series of young men
Murders.
being murdered.
Murders
Yes.
and drainings.
Yes. And Scotland Yard, of course, is involved trying to figure this out because the way that these young men are murdered, they've got a big loss of blood, but it looks it it, it looks like it was done by an animal of some sort. So
well, in a way, it was.
they're totally confused, you know, because most of the injuries are in the neck area, and you know, there are defensive wounds too, but um, they're not. The wounds don't go along with like if it was a human taking like a knife or something, you know. So they're confused.
And I imagine this is in the same age and factor that vampires do exist. So they're also probably trying to rule out that it's a vampire.
Which I think they did pretty soon because of the way a vampire's bite is just the one is just that puncture wound, and it's a lot neater than what was happening to these young men. You know,
Yep.
so it opens with um a carriage driver. Um, evidently he hears somebody screaming or a man,
Yes.
and
And he
he
goes stark raving mad.
because he goes and finds the man that and the man is dead, and before he can get back to his carriage, he sees what attacked him, and yes, it makes him mad. He keeps trying to tell everybody about. I think he was telling everybody that it had wings and it had big eyes. Was the things he was telling people about.
Which, to be fair and honest, is a lot of what many of the people who have seen the so-called Point Pleasant Mothman, which is probably a lot later or whatnot in in the United States. uh, they see the red eyes and a winged creature, you know. But there are similar incidents about the Jersey Devil, you know. But this is neither here nor now. So,
Right. And because of what he just keeps rambling, they say that, it drove him mad. Now,
there's
Peter
also a
Cushing's character is an inspector, I believe.
yep.
Yes, and he's very curious, because the last attack, he got to see the person before they passed away, and um, he didn't get to get anything from him. But then he realized that the carriage driver was there. He went to talk to him, and so he's even more baffled than he was in the beginning. But we do see him
Pretty
going the
much,
next
yeah.
day. We do see him going the next day and investigating where the attack took place, and that's where he finally comes across something that he thinks may be helpful later on, and it's scales, like from um he doesn't know what it's from, but they're all over the place. In the
Yeah.
So he actually takes a few of them and keeps them. Um, in the meantime, when this is going on, there's a professor who's giving a lecture all about different types of moths.
Correct.
And
And
actually, what they show in what they do show of his lecture it's kind of interesting. It's like, oh, really? Oh, okay. I was kind of finding his what we got to see of his lecture. I was kind of finding it interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody else found his lecture interesting. I thought it was kind of interesting.
I thought the lecture part was interesting,
Well, I would
and
have
he even
thought.
showed something on the Death's Head moth.
Right. And I wish, I guess I wish that when they showed the lecture, they would have showed a little bit more about that moth, you know, unless about the other ones, But that's okay. But the inspector, Peter Cushing, goes to the his house, and while they're talking and everything, he shows them the scales, and you can see from his reaction that he doesn't want to admit that he knows what it is.
Yeah.
So the inspector does leave. He's like, "Okay,
Well,
I'll
and
analyze it."
we do have to mention Granger, who is the scarred butler.
Yeah, he just likes to antagonize everybody.
But
Right.
we also find out that he likes to torture a specific creature.
Yeah. I didn't like that.
But anyways, you were saying, Tammy?
Yes, it's kind of unique that when the inspector Vera Cushing shows him those scales, and he's like, "Oh yeah, yeah, okay, I can analyze it for you," and he reaches out for it, and Cushing goes and takes one and gives it to him, and he takes all the rest with him.
I thought that was a unique sleight of hand.
But a good one, because
Yes.
he he was that knowledgeable of an inspector to realize you don't give up all of your evidence. because you may need this later.
In fact,
Hmm.
because the trail runs dry, per se, his a boss actually comes in and tells him, "Hey, why don't you take some time off and take your daughter out of here?"
Well, he had that actually planned, but then with the last killing, he decided he was going to postpone it or whatever. But then when he didn't want to disappoint his daughter, um, we're getting a little ahead of the thing here.
Yep.
Um, he does end up going on somewhat of a vacation a under a ruse of who he is to track down the professor that took off. But we didn't get that far yet.
Nope.
But yes,
There's there's a victim that arrives.
yes, he is. Uh, he he's a scientist. He studies like moths and insects and everything. He just got back from um, South Africa, I believe.
Well, there's that one, but there is a victim that while the lecture is going on that arrives that is supposedly been attacked, and the professor goes outside and sees to the victim, and he was still alive, but I think that the professor actually choked him to death.
I think he did something. It didn't look like he got blood on him or anything. Or I think I'm thinking he just like maybe held his nose closed or put his hand over his nose and mouth because he was having problems breathing to begin with,
Yeah,
and
Probably, yeah.
that. Because if he would
but
have actually grabbed his neck the way the blood was and everything, he would have ended up with blood on him.
so in a sense, he became Dr. Kevorkian in that a moment. If you don't know anything about Dr. Kevorkian, he was a guy that assisted people in death. Um, but in a sense, he became a Doctor Death.
But yes, that gentleman ends up dying, and um, they're attributed it to the same person or being or beast or whatever you want to say, because they have no idea at this time that has killed these other young men, because they said it's all the same and everything. Um,
Yep.
so um, the next thing we know is we see a gentleman that's um, he had sent some things ahead of time over to the professor, specimens he had collected,
Yep.
and he shows up at the police department, which they make a little comedy thing right there, everybody, but they end up taking him to where the professor is, who has been waiting for him.
Yep.
And while he is waiting to meet up with the professor, he meets his daughter, who he becomes totally infatuated with, like from the first moment.
Yep. Love at first sight and all that.
More like
So,
death at first sight.
any
Well,
comments on the characters we have met already, or want to add to any of them?
oh, the doctor is young, clean cut. Seems to be the kind that would fall in love right away and probably anger the doctor in the whole process because number one, she's technically being portrayed as his daughter, so As any father would probably, well, not every father would be that way, but some would be overprotective, you know. And because this is not only, well, we find out later that she is a genetically designed creature, but right now, as far as we know, she is his, blood related daughter. But um, because she is an experiment of his, on top of being his supposedly so called daughter, he is probably doubly overprotective and probably looks at him like, I'm going to kill you if you even touch her, kind of thing. Which I think he gives him that look, you know.
Oh yes, of course.
Yes.
In fact, when he goes and futzes with a tank or whatnot, he gets really agitated over that, and he basically snaps at him, for touching it. In any case, what happens
Okay.
next, my dear?
Um. Well, the daughter does invite this young man to a play that will be put on later by, I think it's other students that she is with, that she's studying with.
Yeah,
I believe are the ones putting the play on. So she invites uh the the young man that's genealogist or something like that is what he really is.
yeah.
She invites him to the play.
And I think the professor has basically used this young genealogist to just kind of like be his courier for what apparently is a very basic bug.
Oh, yes.
Tammy?
What's
Yep.
that? Did you just start snoring?
It was clearing my throat. Took a drink wrong way.
Ah.
Oh,
Sorry.
sorry to hear that.
So, uh, what do you, wasn't there like some kind of bug that he had brought? A
Yeah, he
specific
brought
bug?
these. I think they were a variation of that moth, but they were already cocooned, and those were some really big cocoons.
All
Yeah, they
right.
were.
I mean, when he was handing them over to him, and the professor was looking, it was like, I'm like, wow, that's you know. I mean, I've seen moths that are bigger or butterflies that are kind of bigger, but I've never seen them in a cocoon like that big.
Yeah, I haven't either, but evidently they deal in giant sized cocoons.
Well, I guess where he was, because he was in what, South Africa, is what he said, or was it just Africa, or was it South Africa?
I think it was South Africa because of where he was. Evidently, that's the way they grew.
I know he said he was surprised was what the professor wanted, because he said that was seemed so ordinary.
Common,
I think
common or
he thought that he
ordinary or
would have wanted
whatever.
some. Right, thought he would have wanted something more exotic from where he was.
Yeah.
Now I don't know what he was doing in that other aquarium, but he sure didn't want the genealogist to mess with that.
No, because apparently, if it had like any like change in temperature, it would have ruined the experiment.
Yeah, and he had been doing this experiment for like a year or something. He said, you almost destroyed a year's work. He
Which
said,
means that he is studying other things other than the daughter in which he had created. You know.
Well,
well, we find that out later that yes, he definitely is up to something else. But
but we didn't get much story on that, did we?
Oh no. But we did find out that eventually down the road that he was trying to create a mate for his already genetically engineered uh, half human, half moth creature,
Yes.
and um, ultimately, I guess they end up having to move around specifically because of the victims that are piling up.
correct. But
Yes.
they before that they his daughter and her friends from the university, I think, put on that play, and
It depicts a very similar film project that the director of this film eventually does do a film on after this movie, which is the story of Burke and Hare. Which, if you don't know anything about Burke and Hare, they were two guys. One was a doctor, one was a body snatcher, and they worked hand in hand to he was a doctor doing experiments, and the other guy was the guy who went out and grabbed as fresh bodies as he could, and I believe it always turned to one of the body snatcher ending up murdering whoever and bringing the body fresh for him.
right,
And
he thinks
eventually
it
they
was.
were found out.
But in this little skit or whatever, they use a mechanism in it that catches the attention of the professor. Because even though this is just a play, the idea in this, because the professor asks them after the play, well, what made you think of using, it was some galvanized or something like that, he said.
Okay.
What made you think of using this? And we do later see the professor actually using the same thing that they used in the play, at a different residence. I just the second when they moved residence, he is actually using the same idea and thought on a frog
Ah,
that they
yeah.
were using
I found that
in this
moment
play.
kind of nasty too.
Yeah, he took that from these kids that were putting the play on. So, um, he was inspired. Yes. Um, but yes, things are getting a little too um, hot for the professor there, and he picks up shop and takes off. But beforehand, um, the inspector and his daughter were supposed to go on a vacation. So they realize, after tracking things down, the inspector realizes that this is where the professor took off to. So he decides he's going to make his trip there to see if he can't catch up with him. So that's where you get to meet the inspector's daughter, and I can't remember the name of the town they were going to now, but she seems all excited about where they're going. So she's not upset that the original plans had changed.
I can't remember the name either.
Billy, I thought her name was.
No, the town where they were going.
Oh, no, I don't remember the name of the town either.
But on the way there, he tells his daughter that, I'm not an inspector. I'm a some sort of a salesman or something. I believe he said he was. You know, he didn't want anybody to know that who he really was. He kind of wanted to stay under the radar. So it's just the father and daughter on vacation, basically.
Correct.
So, meanwhile, the police are still doing their investigations and looking over everything. We've seen the inspector and the police go to the morgue a few times, and seen a very giddy mortician that likes to sit there and eat eat with the corpses right there. I mean, somebody's dead feet are right there, right where he's eating, and he doesn't have a problem with that. And when the inspector and the other officers come, he's offering them food and everything right there in the morgue. In the morgue, like it's nothing else. Here, you want some? Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, who would want to eat in such a place?
That's what I said to David. I said, this is not the first movie where the mortician just doesn't think anything of it to be sitting there and eating right there with all these dead people.
Right.
He was almost comical.
Yeah, he was somewhat comical. It was just, it's like, that's, like I said, I've seen this in other movies too, where the mortician just doesn't seem to faze them to be, oh yeah, walk around with the sandwich in their hand and pull back, whoa, this and this, and they're eating it, yeah, that. It's like, what?
And I found out that some of the voices themselves were actually dubbed. So I wonder whose voices were actually in fact dubbed.
Did you catch that? David said he found out that some voices were actually dubbed in this, but we don't know whose voices were dubbed.
Who? I don't know.
But anyways, yes, everybody is still up in the air as to what is going on. And they get to this town, and they end up meeting another gentleman and his son. And his son, inspector's daughter, seem to hit it off, and they like hanging around with each other. And the son is very interested in bugs and everything, but particularly in moths and butterflies.
Oh, he likes to collect them, right?
Correct.
Which we can see why it would infuriate a certain someone.
Well, evidently, we find out that the professor is going underneath a different name, also of Miles, I believe.
Okay, yeah.
And the young man has evidently been to this area before and has a rapport with Miles and goes and talks to him about the different moths and everything he's in, butterflies he's collected.
Correct. And
So,
there is a young man that is hanging around the Peter Cushing's character's daughter that is trying to catch certain moths.
that's what I'm
For
talking about.
yeah, yep,
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
okay, yeah,
But he evidently is has a rapport with Miles, which is the professor that the inspector is looking for, but he doesn't know that yet. You know, there's
in
this
fact,
Right.
he
little.
doesn't ever figure it out either. So,
Yes, he does.
oh, he does.
That's how they end up there at the end.
Gotcha.
He does. He does figure it out.
And also, the professor ends up because the butler keeps fucking with the bird, letting him have his end. Because apparently the bird then kills the butler when he tries to go and torture him again,
Which he deserves.
which he
Yes,
deserves.
you just beat me to saying that.
He gets his just desserts.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, um, and that also alludes to another reason why the professor and his daughter have to leave as well. You know, with the two victims, and knowing this, the inspector then tries to go and discover what has happened to the professor and his daughter at that location. And I think he finds out what happened to the butler. And also, he finds out where her original lair was.
Well, he found out all that before they even left for the vacation.
Correct.
Okay, we're out. Well, yeah, we're backtracking a little bit because they're already at the vacation spot. But things are getting a little dicey there because um, the daughter, who is, we have now, for the most part, figured out she is the creature.
Yep.
When we first see her at the new location, there's a groundskeeper that you could tell it's a nice, warm, pleasant summer day, and she comes out in this totally coat and everything that's like, you have got to be sweating your ass off of that.
Oh, actually, I really liked that cape she was wearing.
Oh, it's a nice cape. It was just like not for the weather though. Wow. You know?
Right.
I would have expected that it was like 10 below and snow outside to put that on.
Well, I'm sure she was stifled in that in the heat that was going on for sure.
Right. It just seemed so out of place to come out in that getup. When you could tell that the groundskeeper is got, a short sleeve, thin shirt, button shirt, on, and it's sunny, and
Yeah.
but she goes and makes nicey niceys with him, and well, she manages to lure him away later, and then, well, there's no more groundskeeper. You know.
Yep.
So, and um, I believe it is his body that they end up fishing out of the river.
Yeah. In fact, it's the body that the inspector's daughter goes and screams at.
This time,
But this is after, of course, she's been the daughter has been lured back to be blood drained for the supposed mate.
right, um she's put under like a spell because she's supposed to come back the next night. You know, at the same time. So
And she comes back home late, or at least at the place that they are staying at, and explains that she has a light headache and is not interested in eating at all. And what happens next?
well, the next day, the daughter and that young man are out, and he's trying to catch that particular moth because um, it's really not from that area, but he's seen it,
It's the death's head
and he
moth.
right, and she catches it, and he wants it, and she lets it go
And he follows
because
it
she
to a tree on the land. And the daughter of the professor gets really nasty at him.
right, and so he ends up losing it again, but in the end, he does end up catching it because we later see the inspector, Peter Cushing, and his daughter, and the young man all sitting there. He's showing off his collection and explaining things about it, and he tells the inspector um, some really interesting facts about the moth itself. And so the inspector looks at it, through the magnifying glass to see what he's talking about, and it makes him very curious. So he has to see if he has any scales, and it just so happens he does, and he actually has a microscope. And when the inspector looks through the microscope, he realizes he's looking at a smaller version of the scales that he has already collected.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
at this time, one of his um, officers has shown up, and he thinks that they think he's only there to bring him some paperwork, and they're talking. And the innkeeper says, "Well, I thought you were here because we had uh, a, a murder." So the officer goes to look at the victim and comes back and tells the inspector he needs to come, which totally makes the innkeeper wonder what's going on because remember, he's not there as an inspector. So then they have to come clean and say who he is,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because the murder that have been going on. And then the inspector tells the officer about what he has discovered about the scales. That the scales that he has are the same as the ones he just looked at, only they're 100 times bigger. And he's trying to tell him that this has got to be the creature that it is a creature that is caught doing this, and it is like, and he's trying to tell him it's like a huge moth, and the officer's like, well, how are we going to explain this and get anybody to believe that?
Yeah, he says they're not gonna believe it anyway.
And at this time, the the professor and his daughter get into a fight, and because she no longer wants him to be running her life, be telling her what to do, putting all these rules on her and everything. And so you see that he was basically making a mate for her, and right then and there he destroys it. And he was about to destroy her, except for she destroyed him first.
Spoon out.
Yep. Oh, it was quite a spoot out when the mate got destroyed. That when he threw whatever he threw on it, and it just whoosh.
Well,
I
truth
don't know
be
what he.
told, that yes.
I
Nothing.
don't know what he threw at it, but wow, that thing
No, I
just.
was going to say, truth be told, that cocoon looked really cool. I felt kind of bad when it got destroyed.
Yeah, it did look kind of cool, you know. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to
It
find.
did.
I wouldn't want to meet it for real though. But it looked kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, it was pretty interesting that you could lead a moth to a flame at the end.
Very much literally.
That was that was the spoodow
Oh yeah,
of the
spoon
movie.
down.
Yes, that was the big spoot out too because the inspector and the officer are both just sit there going, "What do we do now? Because how do we explain this? How do we tell anybody this?" And then like everything totally burnt up, and it's like they're like looking at each other like, "Well."
Right.
I feel for them. It's true. It's like you come across something like that and you figure out what it is and everything, and it's like, how are you going to convince everybody else? It's like, you know, if if the three of us went out and found actual Bigfoot and we actually found it and we really found it and we have proof we really found it, who is going to believe us?
Well, no one, if they killed it before showing it, okay, a Bigfoot would, if they killed a Bigfoot, at least they'd still have the body to show, but yeah.
But I'm just saying, as an example, who would believe us that you know really it was here?
Right. So in any case, so are we now at the end of the film?
I think basically yes, because our beast, if you want to call it, did get destroyed. Um, the young man was saved. His daughter was saved. Now the inspector and his other officer are left scratching their heads as to how they're going to explain this. But now the crime has been solved, or the crimes, murders, whatever you want to say, have been solved.
In a way, yeah.
And all the creatures have been destroyed because the professor destroyed the other one.
Yep.
The
So,
only thing that we're left with, though, in this is what prompted this to begin with. Um, was she already his daughter, and he decided to experiment on her,
or
or did he
was
make
it an actual death head moth and he turned it into a human?
right?
That's a good question.
We're left with some questions of, okay, how the fuck did she exist?
Right. How and why?
Which I think should have been shown or at least explained in some way, shape, or fashion. I feel like that's what this movie is missing, which normally I don't say that,
Oh yeah, so how come you do say this time?
because this one is missing it.
Me,
This one
I
I
think it's
actually do
missing it
believe.
too.
This
I
one I
think
do believe should have at least explained more.
Oh yeah.
So that we can maybe even feel something for her instead of just believing that. I mean, to each their own, I guess.
and
I feel like there's
and why and what if okay, if she was turned into this, or if the moth was turned into her, either way, why did it need blood?
why did she need to kill?
Yeah, why did it need blood to
Oh,
survive? Like, what was? I mean, I see moths in the summertime all the time. I've never seen a moth that went and took blood.
Well, maybe it was a vampiric, which is why it had those many different titles. Maybe it was slightly vampiric by nature. In order to keep its human form, it had to drink blood.
But we've seen other movies with that moth, and that moth it's because it's unique that moth has been used in other movies, and not until now has it ever, you know, had that characteristic to it.
No, but
huh,
it certainly was a unique thing to this movie.
absolutely.
But let's go into production on this movie. What did y'all think about the production overall?
Oh, uh, I thought the effects were actually pretty cool for the time period, especially the costumes, the design of the creature. I just, like I said, wish we got to see more of the creature. And like I already said, I really liked that black cape she was wearing.
Okay. Anything else on production?
Oh,
I
oh,
thought it.
the corpses were also laid pretty well.
I thought it
Okay.
was, good for its. I think the background areas and the apparel were good for its time. I thought the effects were pretty good for um the time period. I do agree. I wish I would have seen the creature a little bit more. Um, Considering what the title is, I kind of would have liked to seen the creature like as it was attacking and a little bit, you know.
Well, I know another thing I came across was the actors and actresses actually were complaining about how small the sets were.
Interesting.
I don't know. I just like I said, I was kind of a little disappointed because of the title of the movie. I mean, it would have been
You expected more blood than there
I,
was,
right.
Yeah.
I would have expected at least
more special effects.
one good scene of it attacking. You know.
One good scene of an attacking and one good scene of a dismemberment.
Right.
Well, nobody got
Or
dismembered.
that's right. One good scene of a man drained of his blood.
Right, of the actual what it was doing to cause the death of the
Uh,
person.
One
You
good
know,
scene of a
It's
humans
almost
who
like they
died.
brought in the monster's costume last minute just to do some scenes because they didn't have enough money to rent it for that long.
right. You heard it, and that was about it, except for here and there. You know.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
it's like it, but it was very low budget, so I feel like they were only able to use it for only so long with how little their budget was, or something like that. Because I swear, if it could have actually had like more filming on the costume or whatever. But maybe they were afraid that if they showed it too much, that it would show how crappy it was.
Well, maybe and yeah, I before you did the background and everything on it, David. I did get a little bit of a sense that Peter Cushing was not totally into this.
No,
Even
he
before you
definitely
did,
was.
even before you did the background and said that he really wasn't. You kind of got the feeling of it in the movie because I've
He
seen him
wasn't
in.
invested in the role.
No, we've seen him in plenty of other roles, and that's that. This one was not how he normally is. You could tell.
If he would have gone and acted the role like he's acted other roles before and gave a shit about it a little bit more, maybe it wouldn't be as bad as a movie as it is.
Because would you say IMDb only liked it halfway? That's not really. I mean, I don't. We don't base everything on what they say, anyways. We've on this show and on the other show we've all said at times
Yeah,
disagreed
I
with
don't
what
base
IMDb
anything.
had.
I don't base anything on any other viewer poll either. I mean, it all depends on you know
But
what I
no,
see.
I don't base it on it. But when you sit here and see that they only liked it halfway, that is not a good thing. You know. So
No, it's not, but it is what it is. And I'm glad that I have seen it and seen it again. Again, it does get better on repeat viewings. I think
well,
once you
I'm
get
glad
over,
I've seen it, and I'm glad I have it in my collection because I like these older movies and everything, and stuff. That's why I have it. So,
I would have to say this is one of those movies that are so bad it's almost good.
Uh,
as much as I like the subspecies movies, and I have them all, those those are two. All of those movies are kind of like so bad they're good. The subspecies.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah, by the way, we didn't mention that Peter Cushing was also in Star Wars.
Yes, he was a major player in Star Wars as the general that was kind of like his Darth Vader's number one for quite a bit.
That was a
Oh,
lot later in his life, though, I
Yeah,
believe.
that was later in his life.
oh, yeah.
But in any case, what did y'all think about the music? Did you even notice it?
Not
Oh,
really.
I noticed some instrumental in the ending credits.
Let's see who might have actually done the music for this. Let's see, going down the cast. Okay, so the composer was Paul Ferris. I guess he was alive from 1941 to 1995. Let's see. Looking backwards. Okay, let's see. Okay, so he did act a bit, but as a composer, okay, so he was a kind of a go-to of working with Tegan. He worked on The Sorcerers. He worked on this, composed the music for Witchfinder General. Uh, composed the music for Harry and the Hookers, The Magnificent Six and a Half. Let's see. Later, the Creeping Flesh and Persecution. Witchfinder General had Vincent Price in it, and
Oh,
that's on the
nice.
Scream Legends collection that you and I have, Tammy. So that was a Tegan
Okay.
production. And I guess he in the original Casino Royale movie, he was a casino patron in that movie as an actor. So, um, other than that, um, I wasn't really paying attention to the music myself, so I suppose it really it didn't really matter to me, but at least it was a composed piece of music rather than used stock music, which has been done before in low budgets movies before. You
Mm,
know, which
yes.
is which is definitely a difference when you use actual composing music than used music, which means they actually had a little bit of a budget, but not much. If they had to use stock footage or stock music, then they had a really, 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 really low budget.
Right.
And then it would be on the level of like Ed Wood. So, but in any case, uh, shall we go on to favorite scenes and or favorite characters?
Mm,
Let's start with you, Boris. Favorite scene or scenes and or favorite character.
actually, I think my favorite character was Claire, the Watt woman. I found her interesting mainly because the whole design was kind of cool. I just, like I said, wish we got to see more of her, and got to know more about her backstory and everything. And in a way, I also felt bad for her because she was wait the way she was, and wasn't really her choice to have to kill people to survive. So I
Or
did
maybe
feel
it
a little.
was. Or maybe it was. We
How?
don't know. We don't know that whether it wasn't her choice or not, because she certainly seemed like she was okay with killing.
But
I'm just saying we don't know for sure that it wasn't her choice. That's all, and that's part of what's missing.
oh yeah, but wasn't she feeding on the people she was killing? Like, wasn't it a matter of survival for her?
Yes and no. I think she was killing much more than she should have been.
Huh.
Gathering more attention to what the professor was doing behind closed doors more than he was in the knowledge of. You know, yeah, I think he allowed her to have more freedoms, and there were more bodies piling up than the professor knew,
Maybe.
because the bumbling Scotland Yard was catching up to them. So, Tammy, favorite scene or scenes and or favorite characters? You are muted.
Damn it.
I know that Peter Cushing did not put his all into this movie, but he's still my favorite character because I I do believe one of the main reasons I actually have this movie is because I knew he was in it. So,
Oh
um,
wow.
out of respect for him, I will say that he's still my favorite character. Um, favorite scenes, even though I felt bad for it when the mate got spit out.
Oh, no.
Yes, that was. I was not expecting that, even though I've seen it before. I forgot all about that when he threw that and he just went whoosh, and it was just like, whoa.
Oh yeah, one thing that's worth mentioning as a favorite scene was when the bird killed the butler.
That
Yeah,
was
that was one of my favorite scenes.
that was pretty good too. But if we would have seen more of the attack situations, I would have had more favorite scenes. But
When the daughter got scared by the kids pulling a prank on her, that was a little bit funny.
oh yeah, with the fake bug.
Yeah,
Uh, to an extent, it was funny, but in a way, it was also not, to me at least, because my reaction would have probably been similar to hers.
I know I might have done the part, but I don't think I would have passed out.
oh, swooned is what they call it. Swooned, which is what ladies tended to do back then. Then they would, ah, you know, all that fake bullshit.
Yeah, that's
Well, yeah,
amazing.
uh, I probably wouldn't faint, but I would probably scream.
It's amazing how many women are portrayed in movies, especially older movies, as swooning or passing out all the time. But it's like, I've never known anybody in my life to do that.
Or and sometimes they show women like as like really weak characters. Like I swear, the daughter and here of the inspector, Peter Cushing's character, she was kind of weakly imagined on screen, except for when she actually let the moth go. That's when she showed some character.
So, who is your favorite character and scene?
My favorite character, oh Claire. Claire was my favorite, but for some reason, because I do think that she is a double-edged kind of sword, you know. Peter Cushing, I normally have more respect for him. The least he could have done is, even though he came for a check, is acted like an actor. Instead of going through the motions, if you know what I mean. Maybe his mind was not on the film or on the acting, but the least he could have done is shown up mentally and at least try to make his role look like he gave a shit. You know, be the better
Yeah.
person. And I feel like that was disrespectful to the director. Although I don't know what was happening on set. I don't know. Maybe he just really didn't want to be there. You know. I mean, it said that he was only there to help get money for his dying wife. So
Well,
because he
if
wasn't around his wife while he was acting for this movie, I can see why he wouldn't want to be there. But at least check in as a professional actor, you know.
well, if he was dealing with something like that in his personal life, then I kind of can't blame him.
Well, the way that there were actors that were there that really hated doing the movie, and maybe it wasn't exactly the healthiest of you know, actors and crew. You know,
Huh.
maybe there was some stress involved. If that were the case, then Peter Cushing would probably be my favorite actor. But I can't fully get behind him since I don't know the full story. All I know is that he hated the role. So did the other guy, and it doesn't seem like they are the only ones
Interesting.
from outside perspective. So not only was it done low budget, but because it was done low budget, there might have been some constraints that the actors had to go through for what they were being paid for. You know, but
Yeah.
in any case, my favorite scenes, definitely the ending and when I've mentioned a few of them, but when the mate was killed, for some reason, I liked the fact that the daughter of the inspector, Peter Cushing's character, that she didn't want to kill them off. I got a kick out of that. And I enjoyed the lecture in the beginning, and I thought that was interesting. And well, like I said, I did enjoy when the butler got killed. So
Spudał.
yeah, bald eagle. But in any case, that being said, did anyone else have anything else to add?
Uh,
No,
I
maybe make you think
don't.
of maybe think maybe make you think twice when you see a moth again.
Most definitely.
Interesting.
Alrighty. Well, in any case, if nothing else needs to be added, hopefully you ladies and gentlemen have enjoyed our discussion on this film. If you haven't seen the movie, go out and see it. I do think it's on certain streaming platforms. I do think it is on Tubi at this moment to be seen. And I know in Croatia, Tubi is not there, but
unfortunately, yeah.
Ultimately, like, share, and subscribe. Let us know in the comments what you thought of the movie, what you thought of our discussion, and I do believe I am going to have us go on about the Mothman prophecies. So, which is a film from 2002. So, join us for that next week. In any case, everyone say good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Hot, hot.
Inside movies galore, just makes you just want more. We've had all in the world of media to explore. Horror, anime, or Curious George. Our love of new things was our reward. It is the best night of our week.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.